Hey everyone, it's Teresa Palmer.
And I'm Sarah Wright Olsen. Welcome to the Mother Daze podcast.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey guys, we have another Ask Us Anything episode today.
And we're so excited. We love this segment so much. This is like a shorter episode for us, and we get to answer your questions. So if you follow us on Instagram, be on the lookout for those days that we put up the Ask Us Anything, and then we will hopefully be able to get to some of your questions. So take it away, Tez. Let's do this.
Yes, okay, this is from Liz v. Ryland. Probably got that wrong, but there you go. That's who it's from.
Okay.
Thank you for the question, Liz. It says, how did you two become friends? But wait, there's more, because a few other people wanted to know about this. The next person asked, when I can find it, still looking for it, and still, there we go. Yelena or Jelena, I'm going with Yelena. Yelena Lian said, I want a friendship like you two. She says, I have no friends, but that's not true. I'm sure that you do. And she wants to know any tips. We are your friends. Actually, it does. When I meet people on the street, I will say, I was just saying this to a person the other day who stopped me and was like, I love your podcast. I was like, I suddenly instantly feel friends with them. I was like, oh, you must be my type of person then, and we should be friends and hang out. Let's get coffee.
We're connected.
I know. It's so funny. I'm like, oh, we're so like-minded. If you like the podcast, then like we're just like the same person. So, and then another person, cloudy day in the city. How do you find your tribe of strong, positive women? So this is all in the same vein, talking about friendships. Sarah, we met. How did we meet? Back at Earth Cafe. I think it was Earth Cafe in Los Angeles.
It was.
In what? Let's try and go for a year here. What year are we thinking?
Oof. Okay.
2009 or 10, I reckon.
I think so. Yeah, I do think so, which feels like a really long time ago now.
I go by what boyfriend I was dating, and I remember which boyfriend I was dating. So would have been in the 2009 to 10 year bracket
category. Okay,
yes.
I love it. That's amazing. Yeah, we were invited to a brunch by a friend of ours, and it was a brunch with many actresses. And it was funny. Teresa and I got seated next to each other, and we were sort of like listening to everyone, talk about acting and their stories and work and like whatever. And then Teresa and I just sort of like looked at each other and started talking, and we instantly connected because we realized that we both really wanted to have babies and have a family. And we were like in our early 20s, and our boyfriends probably would have been mortified at the time, but like we were pumped up.
Mine would have been like, yeah, locked in, loaded, let's go.
Got her.
Got her. She's in.
Exactly.
Oh my God. Yeah, eyes like glazed over. People were talking about their auditions and the industry and whatever. And we just sort of like both kind of went and turned to each other, and she was like, I really can't wait to be a mum. And I was like, wait, I can't wait to be a mum. This is very rare in Hollywood as like two young 20-something gals who have this huge opportunity. We're like both working actresses and, probably like right in the prime of when our careers are just going strong. And we're like, we want to be mummies, which is just so nice. I was so happy to find another person like me out in that crazy Hollywood land.
And it's like so interesting too when you find people that you really connect with and really love, like like the Teresa and I thing. I feel like we were sort of put together in this way where we were just supposed to meet at this brunch that day, because from then on we were just like tight. We were tight friends, and there was this connection that happens when you first meet someone and you get like really excited because you're connecting and you're, you know, talking about similar things. But then there's also this like vibration where you're like bringing you're vibrating, they're vibrating, you're like bringing the vibration up. And I instantly
not
felt
with a vibrator, guys.
But not with a vibrator.
Just an energetic vibration. Yeah.
Energetic.
We're all vibrating together like, woo!
We're all vibrating. Woohoo! Yeah. No, we're riding that. I'm sweating now.
Did you just say riding? Did you just use the word riding?
I did. You're such a child. Oh my God. I was just going to say that we're riding that high of talking about. Oh my God, we're so immature. Wow. Talking about like, you know, stuff that we're passionate about. And it's so fun when you meet somebody and you're just like, yep, that's my person. That's like, you know, a soul person. And we've been together in many lifetimes, you know, and it's so fun to find that and to feel that. And
it's a different feeling, isn't it, Sarah, when... Look, in my younger years, I'm just friends with who I'm friends with. And you know those feelings that you would have at school where like so-and-so would be upset with you and you wouldn't know why and it would just like ruin your day. And there was like people would bitch a lot and talk behind each other's backs. And it was like that teenage vibe. But that can still carry on into adult life. And I call those friendships toxic friendships. And I still had a couple when I was 18. And I was like, oh, wait, I'm hanging out with these people, but then leaving feeling bad about myself or feeling uneasy or there's some discomfort and like, oh, I hope they're not upset with me or I feel like they're angry or you just feel drained, emotionally, physically drained after hanging out with them. And that is a great red flag right there. It's like a smorgasbord of flags being like, no, this is not going to serve you in your life in the long run. So even though those friendships, I remember they were exciting and fun and a little bit crazy and a little bit wild, almost like those bad relationships you get into with a partner, like a romantic relationship. The flags are always there and you know, friendship relationships are the same. And for me, I just decided I hit like 19, 20 and I started working in the film industry and I was like, oh, I'm not actually going to carry any of these friendships with me into this new life experience because it will absolutely have a negative impact on me. So I started really culling a lot of friendships when I was younger. And I have to say now, every one of my best friends in my orbit, the people that I choose to spend time with, I leave those days feeling uplifted and inspired and challenged in the best way and creatively stimulated and just like I've had a cup of warm self-care tea where I feel so good. And they're the kinds of friends that I love and I show up for.
You know, in kindergarten, they talk about easy friends and hard friends. And I think that it's such a great breakdown for children, but it's also really important for us to think about like the easy friends in our lives, the friends that like make us feel good, that like when we leave, it's exactly what you're talking about. And the hard friends where, you know, you just kind of feel drained, like the energy was sucked out of you, or that it's just really difficult. Like there's just, you're constantly having like an insecurity with them, or there's just like whatever it is. And one of the things that, you know, I think in one of our last episodes, I talked about the stuff that like I was letting go from last year. And one of the things that I wrote down to let go from last year and for really so many years, was that I really get worried and self-conscious about like how, you know, like interactions with certain friends. I'm worried about how they feel or think or whatever it is. And it really weighs on me. And so when I think they're upset with me or in these harder friendships, it was just kind of weighing on my heart. And I was realizing like, you know what, this is like, I'm in a season now of life where I don't want to have those hard friendships. And I think I need to let that go. It's not even that I'm like letting the friendship go entirely. It's just that I'm just not going to let that affect me.
Yeah, and you can put boundaries up.
That's right. And putting up a boundary and just being like, this is, I'm just not going to let that pierce my like space because it just felt so good to write that out and to say goodbye to that because I don't want to walk away feeling like I'm walking on eggshells with someone or, you know, and some of that's my own stuff, right? It's like me being worried or like, have I upset them or like, what is this? But also, obviously, there's two sides to every relationship and there's something coming from the other side as well. Like there's a reason why I felt that way, you know?
Yeah. And I think you're the same person. And you have the same, you know, tendencies. We all have the same tendencies, right? And our patterns. But if you're not feeling that with other friends, then that's definitely a little clue for you. Like, I have the same tendencies to like be like, oh, what did I say? Or what did I do? Or did I upset them? But if you've got a group of friends and you're like, oh, but with A, B, and C friends, like I leave and we're feeling great about each other and inspired. And like, it's just such a great pick me up when you see them. And then you hang out with other friends and you're like, oh, I don't feel that way. Like that's just a really good indicator to you guys, whoever's listening out there, that something in that friendship needs to shift. And that has been the beautiful thing with Sarah and I is that from that first day, it was like we flocked to each other and it's constantly been like, how do we uplift? How do we up-level one another? How does this friendship get deeper and closer? And how can we show up for each other and each other's families all the time whenever we're with each other? And that's why it's like we want to go do holidays together. We want to spend so much time. And it's just so beautiful. We say that even recording the podcast is like a little slice of me time for each other because we're spending time together and we're chatting and it's just such a nice, beautiful feeling. So thank you for those questions, guys. And I hope it can help you look at your relationships and you know, the friendships that you have in your own life and just do a bit of an inventory, take a look at what's going on and have some self-reflection there. It's definitely such an important, integral piece of life is having key, beautiful, supportive, encouraging friendships.
That's right. And to one of the questions that you asked, somebody was asking, like, how do you find those relationships? And I will say that, you know, if you're entering into motherhood or, you know, if you have little kids or whatever it is, a lot of times you'll find a new group of friends or like your mom friends or this like mothering world or school, you know, friends that your kids go to school with. And it's interesting, like you'll end up finding friendships in that. Like two of my really great friends are from my kids' preschool. And I think that's just another, I never thought, oh, I would meet more best friends, you know, at that point in my life. And yet that's exactly what happened. And, you know, I think that that's another way that you can meet people and you're sort of like joining a mothering class that you feel all aligned with, and then also a school that you feel aligned with. And so you're also able to like add positive, uplifting, wonderful people in that way. And you can find people that you connect with in those communities as well, which I think is just really important because you guys have your children in the same place, right?
That's right. And even if you don't have kids, it's like, what's your passion? You like doing a pottery class on a Friday night. Like maybe you're going to find someone who's interested in the same things that you are. I love a pottery class. My friend Chrissy does it in Byron Bay.
Invite me.
I'm like, pottery class in Byron Bay? Yes, please. That just sounds like my cup of tea.
Dreamy. So I'm going to get to the next questions, which are all similar as well. So Kaboo13 says, how do you guys manage so much with such grace and without losing it? And then EK Warren 29 says, how do you all keep your calm when your kiddos are having big feelings? And then there was one more, because I thought it was really funny, where she says something about mom rage.
Mom rage. Yes, I love that
here.
one.
So Dusen says, have you ever dealt with mom rage and how do you get through it? So I think all of those kind of go together as well. Do you want to jump in with that one, Tess?
Oh my God, mum rage is the coolest thing I think I've ever heard. I'm like, that is so funny.
Same.
Oh, wow.
So true.
I love that they say grace. I would say I'm not graceful. I would tell my friends, if they ever describe me, I would say 100% of the time, no one would be like, and Teresa, she's just so graceful. That is not my way, but thank you for that reflection.
Aww.
You know, you're seeing that, you know, the Instagram version,
That's right.
I assume. And if that's telling you that I'm graceful, then I need to definitely put some different content up there, because I'm not. Like, I feel like it is always juggling. That's just the way it is. Like, having 4 kids, and you know, a lot of the time I have 5 kids, but Isaac is so, you know, he's almost 15 and he's just doing his own thing. And I just always say he's just the easy kid, even though there are some emotional things we have to navigate with him. Like, he's just like, good. He's just off on his path, Mr. Straight A student, doing his thing, really responsible, like just getting it done. So he's easy. And then we've got the younger kids, and it's always just like divide, conquer. What's going on? Like, I'm the mum that's like remembered it was swimming week the morning of swimming week the other day. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad I checked the form. Get out of your clothes, guys. You're in your swimming gear. We're going to be late for school. Grab a towel. Oh my God, do we have plastic bags? I don't even think we have a plastic bag in the house. How do I find a plastic bag? They want a plastic bag. Like, it was so pandemonium that morning. And it's also just refreshing to know, like, I'm not the only one. Every other parent out there is just in the struggle of having the mental checklist of all the things that each child needs, all the extracurricular activities, all the forms for school that have to be filled in, all the different things going on, the schedule. Like, it's just, isn't it? It's like, it's a lot for mums and whoever, mums, dads, whoever's like carrying it all. And I find that I don't know if it's different in your house, but I carry the schedule in my head.
Yeah.
I am like queen of the schedule. So if anything gets forgotten, I take on the blame. So it's not all just like roses and butterflies over here. And we have a messy house. Like, I cannot tell you, we have a cleaner come once a week, and I cannot tell you that after that cleaner leaves, I swear to you, 6 hours later, the house looks like it wasn't cleaned. I was like, oh my God, how am I doing this? It's so full on. So thank you for saying that. But I'm just like everyone else in that way. Like, it is always just in it. How do you feel about that, Sarah?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that makes me want to like take a deep breath and do the thing that I do when I hear that, because it really raises emotions in me. Because I think sometimes we do get so overwhelmed with so much that's going on, you know, like in our home. I think I like kind of take on more of the like things that are going on at school. Like, I'll have that in my brain. But Eric has it in the calendar too. And like half the time he'll be writing me and being like, oh, by the way, it's early pickup today. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's early pickup today, you know?
That's right. So, he's very type A. He has all of that down.
He like, I mean, the man can like balance, you know, so many different logistics. And I have a really hard time doing 2 things at once. But we have a nice rhythm where like I'll do the doctor stuff and I'll do a lot of the scheduling stuff for the kids. But when things come up where I'm like a bit overwhelmed with work, or just like I haven't finished 4 emails that I need to finish, but I have already gone and picked up the kids, or, you know, whatever it is. And there's like stuff coming in after they're home from school. It feels overwhelming. And then if I'm trying to do something, because I can't do 2 things at once, I find that those are the moments when I have an easier like time of sort of snapping. So it's like, I'll be like, oh, just give me a minute, and like that thing where you get frustrated because you realize that just sort of snapped out at your kid who's just trying to get your attention. And then, I'm like, oh, what am I doing? Like, they just wanted to get my attention, and I'm like frustrated at myself and also with like the work that's in front of me, and I'm not focused. And so I need to like put that away. And so I guess my actionable item here is that I will notice that this is starting to happen, and then I have to take a deep breath. I have to walk away for a second, take a breath. It really helps me the most if I really have my schedule down for the day. And if I, take that moment in the morning of mindfulness and like write some things down and just do my breathing and listen to a little bit of a meditation. And I'm talking like 10 minutes, it's like usually after I've taken the kids to school, before I start my workday, I'll try to slip that in. If I do that, it is my most productive and my most like, I feel more centered that day. I do think it really helps because I've taken a moment for myself. And then also I'm like, okay, I'm going to get everything done before the kids are home from school. Once they're home from school, I'm going to switch gears. I'm going to help them. We're going to do homework. We're going to do all the things. And obviously with our jobs, like we can't not be on the phone at some point in that time of day just because like things are coming in. But I really try to like, okay, I'm going to try to put this away and not focus on it as much and be with them. And when I do that, I don't find that the mom rage comes up as much. And I don't find that I snap,
that's so true.
because I've been able to sort of lay out a little pivot beforehand. And
that's a really good point.
And I think when there's like a scheduling thing, like if you're running late for school every day and you're getting frustrated and, there's like things like that. My husband is great about this and I'm trying to be better at it too, which is that once that's something that's happened, we have to make a pivot. And so the pivot is like, for tomorrow, let's all have a conference at dinner. Okay, for tomorrow, what can we do better? How can we all help each other to get out the door, get into the car, and get to school to where we're not freaking out and losing it on the way, and being late. And so I think it really helps to like check in with each other too in your household, because it's a lot and it's hard. And you guys do see an Instagram version of us, right? So you see like snippets of our lives. But behind those snippets are moments just like everybody where we're like, I'm freaking out because we're running late. My son's upset because he wants to be at school on time because they're testing that day. And we're like trying to get to school. All of those things happen to us too. And it's just that those moments afterwards when we go, okay, that didn't feel good. It didn't start the day good. What can we do differently tomorrow? And how can we help each other in our little community to do that for tomorrow?
I love you always talk about being a team. That's like you always say, like, we're team members. We're a part of the team. I love that you use that language with the kids. I feel like for me, mum rage, it takes a lot for mum rage to come out of me, because I don't know. I feel like Mark is much easier to snap than I am. But if mum rage comes out of me and I ever yell, because it is quite rare for me to really raise my voice, it'll rattle the kids
a lot. I know.
Way more if it comes from me. But if it comes from dad, they're like, oh, dad's being grumpy. But I'm like, the reason why Mark could get like that is because exactly what you said, I think you really pinpointed it, is when it's like when he's in the middle of doing something and he's trying to like fill out the form or get his work done or do something, he's on his phone in the middle and he has the kids coming at him. That's when he'll snap. Yes. So I love what you said about really like breaking down your day to like, all right, this is the time for me to get my work done and this is mum time and this is like time to like connect with my partner. When the kids are home from school, like really focus on them. I love that and I'm working towards doing that so much more because so often I'll find myself just not giving enough to the things that I'm doing. Like if I'm trying to get back to an email, I'm like focused on the email, but then the kids need me. I'm like half-assed listening to a conversation that they're having with me, but then I'm half-assed in my email reply, and then I'll look back at my reply and I'll be like, oh my God, there was like 1,000 grammatical errors. What was I even talking about? Like that doesn't even make sense. So I'm only doing half of the job. Rather than doing the job fully with 100% attention. So that's something I've been working on too. And we've talked about it before, like actually stepping away from being the multitasker and just focusing on one task at hand. And that takes being really organized as well. So for instance, I'm going to give you this example. It's Saturday here in Australia. And I know that I have these work things coming up. And I haven't got to them, but I'm like, oh, it's the weekend and that's where we socialize and we go out and we see friends and we do things. And I actually decided that I am going to clear this whole weekend. And the kids are stoked, by the way. The kids are just going to go run about on the land. Like there's actually 2 of them are out there. You saw one of them behind me coming in here. He's got his iPad time right now. But Forrest and Poet have been out on the land with walkie-talkies, like collecting sticks and stones, and they're doing their little thing that they do. And we're just spending time at home. And I know that sometimes you just need those days to recenter, get organized, focus. And I like shut the door to let kids know like, hey, mum's unavailable right now. I'm working on the podcast. So I really think that this concept of stepping away from like celebrating the multitasker, this also has to be explored too. Like, oh, what about just like focusing on one thing at a time so that we're showing up and being as present, as good, as fulfilling our potential as much as we possibly can by just focusing on one thing.
Yeah, agreed. I love that. And I only because it's really started to help me. I love the moment, taking that moment for yourself in the morning, taking a few breaths and just figuring out, okay, let's align what my day is instead of like steamrolling into it so hardcore, because it's hard. Like when we get up in the mornings and we're rushing around getting kids ready, like we barely get a bite of food in your mouth, running out the door, getting them to school. And then after school drop off, sometimes I feel like I've ran like, a race in the morning and I'm just like, whoo, catching my breath. And it's nice to like come back and go, okay, where am I? Where's my center? Like, let's just refocus. And it's really helped a lot.
Here's my question. So I'm such a stickler about, oh my God, I just made my lip bleed. Oh, that's so sad. That is me not looking after myself because I'm so dehydrated. Oh my goodness.
Can I send you some Bayo?
Can you please? Oh wow.
I'm like, I can taste blood. Lip balms?
Yes, please. I actually, you know that Mark steals all my Bayo. When you send it to me, he steals it. He's got the best skin in the world.
Ones that are just for Mark.
I know, seriously. I'm going to write it in Sharpie like Mark's and then mine. Oh, I'm like that with the bloody chargers in my house. My children steal my chargers all the time. Oh my God, it's so annoying. Anyway, this is what my question was. So yesterday, I was like, I knew that we had, the rigmarole of the morning of like getting up, and we live quite far away from the school. So we have to be out the door 7:50, although when Mark takes the kids, he'll get out the door at 8:05 and he's like, whatever, it's fine. But then I feel like he's racing to get to school on time. And I know the kids like to be there, like you said with Wyatt, like my kids really like to be there kind of 15 minutes before the school bell rings. So they have time to hang out with their friends and just sort of settle into like the flow of school. So for me, that means they've got to get there at 8:30 in the morning. I've got to leave on the dot 7:50. And I'm a real stickler about that, right?
Yeah.
So we woke up the other morning and it was 7:15, which is not great for getting out the door by 7:50, like having all the kids like getting their food ready. And Mark has made me stop making their lunches the night before and putting it in the fridge because it's like, it's not as fresh. So he prefers making them in the morning. Anyway, I was looking at the time like, I know what this is. I just know what this next 30 minutes is going to be like. It's like getting out of bed, like, all right, come on, guys, put your outfits on. Let's go. All right, go. All right, let's eat out. You guys are dawdling. Like, we need to eat the food faster. What do you want in your school lunches? It's just like, stop with the dawdling. Like, they're looking at the Pokemon cards and they're like, we don't have time for that. Am I going into that full on like same thing every morning because I've seen that we've woken up a bit later today? Or am I going to be chill? So I decided I'm just going to chill it out. I'm just going to see what happens. And Bodhi came into the bed and he was snuggling me and I was looking at the time like, oh my God, it's 7:30. And like, he's not dressed. No one's dressed. We decided to sort of dawdle in the morning a little bit more. And I was like, I'm just going to try this without the like, go, go, go energy. They ended up getting in the car at like, I'd say 8:05, which wasn't as bad as I thought. And they got to school like right before the bell rang. Should I be liberating myself a little bit from the stress in the morning and being like, it's actually okay that they don't always get to school on time, and sometimes it's going to be right before the bell or it's right at the bell, and that's okay. And I'm freeing myself from that. Or do I just push through and we have the energy of the morning of like, go, 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 go. And I get them there to school and they're there. But then they've had this like rushy, intense energy on the way to school to get them there to have 15 minutes to sort of like calm down. I actually don't know what's better. So the other day I was like, I'm just going to let go and I'm going to see what happens.
I love that. I mean, that's nice that you were able to do that and still be there on time. I mean, the one thing I was going to say is that, here in America, we have that time change that happens. So like in the fall, it's like we fall back, and in the spring, we spring forward, right? So when we fall back, like I feel like, okay, now we're getting up earlier and we have all this extra time, and it's so nice. And like, yes, it's a bummer that it's getting darker earlier, but we're able to have this time in the morning where we're like actually having breakfast and like, able to sort of not race ourselves through. So the spring forward just happened. And I think that is the reason why the energy has gotten so heightened in our house, which in the morning is like we're racing to get everything done and to get out. But I think the one thing that I keep trying to tell myself is that I cannot, because I'm such an empath, I can't emotionally like take it on and allow it to like overwhelm me in the morning. So it's like, here's the things. We've laid out everything that needs to happen. Okay, let's go, guys. You know what your list is, because we all have a list in the morning. So my kids have to feed the dogs. They do the dog water. I'm making their breakfast. We're putting together their snacks, and Sonia's done their bentos, and they have to put their clothes on, get their teeth brushed. Like, we know what the system is. And so I'll do some reminders in the morning. Okay, did you brush your teeth? All right, let's grab shoes. Okay, we go to the door. And it's like, I just told Esme the other day, because I hate to like give a treat as a reward, but we kind of eat ice cream every Friday, right? So I'm like, okay, Friday's ice cream day because they sell it at school and the money goes towards the school. So I'm like, if we're able to get in the car and get Wyatt to school when he wants to be there, because Esme's drop-off time is later, so she doesn't really care about getting into the car when Wyatt wants to get into the car, right? So she's like, I don't have to be there till 8:20, so like, why am I in such a hurry? And I'm like, yes, but Wyatt needs to be, he cannot be late because it counts against them. So he needs to be at school on time. So basically I was like, if we can get into the car every single morning at 7:45, then we get to do Friday ice cream together. If we are not in the car by 7:45 so that Wyatt gets to school on time, you do not get to have Friday ice cream. And that is because we need to be part of a community. And that means that even though you don't have to be at school at that time, we need to show up for Wyatt and be able to be there on time for him so that it doesn't count against him, because it's not fair.
And are you good at following through? Like, would you definitely not give her the ice cream?
It is a bummer to watch her not eat it. It's a bummer. But I mean, honestly, this week was the week that we started it. I mean, we've done that for other things where we're like, okay, like, this is for this ice cream day. And there's been times when she's like, whatever it was, like she's lost it. And then and she goes, yeah, I lost it. I'm going to work really hard next time to get it back. Like, she's a little bit more unbothered than I would be as a child, where I would like cry and be upset. she's more unbothered, but she's definitely like this week. She worked really hard to make sure that she was in the car at the right time. And it was just so much more chill. And so
that's
I don't
so
know if
great.
that's the right answer, guys, because I also think like, you know, making treats like in a reward or whatever isn't necessarily a great thing.
But every family
but it's something that we
does
already
what
do as a
works.
family. It's not like I'm saying like, do this and you get a donut. It's like something that we already do every Friday. And so it was just like, if we're not able to accomplish these things this week, then it's not going to happen because it's not fair. And there has to be a way that we can like make this work as a team.
Yeah, I love that. I actually think that's so great because every family has a system that works for them and each child is different too. Like
yes.
Forrest is very like stoic. Like he's not going to be as affected if something's taken away from him. Like for instance, we made the decision about a month ago, you know, and parents talk about screen time all the time. So hopefully the guys that everyone listening right now is like, oh my God, that's so interesting. We took screens away from the week. So Monday through Thursday, no media at all. So like no TV, no iPads, nothing. And sometimes I feel a little bit guilty because I've been at school all day and maybe that's just how they unwind. But I'm like, no, this is the time after school. We play this game, Machikoro, we love. We have this other board game called Mysterium that we also love. So we play a board game after school, or I do reading with Forrest, or the kids are just out going on the zip line or the trampoline or whatever the fun thing is. And also Bodhi plays, we've got a lot of extracurricular activities after school as well. So by the time like we get home, it's dinner time anyway.
Yes.
So it's been working well. However, on the weekends, we've been allowing 2 hours each day of screen time. So that's either a movie they get, because that goes for 2 hours, or they can break up iPad an hour in the morning, an hour later in the day. And that's Friday, Saturday and Sunday. So that's the only time they get to look at screens. Forrest, I don't know if he knew that he did this because he's still like learning to read and all that sort of stuff. So he bought some in-app thing for $49.95, like a $50 app thing. He just sort of tapped it and bought it, and he got all these gems. And of course, like Bodhi ran in and like dobbed on him because Bodhi was really jealous that he got all these extra gems in his game. And Mark and I were mortified. Mark was like really upset with him about it. But then he came into my bed last night and he was crying and upset about it because he was like, I really did not actually understand. I was like tapping all these things and I didn't realize. And then all my gems went up and it was so cool. He had chosen not to tell us. He didn't tell us, but Bodhi did. So he's now lost his iPad for 2 full weekends. So he doesn't get to have it. And we, talked to him about it and how like what money is and all that sort of stuff. But I have to say, like, similar to how you guys, like, you took a treat away, right? Like we took his opportunity to have screens away.
Yeah.
And they actually just totally adjust. And he is out there right now killing it, loving it on the land with Poet. They've just disappeared out there with the dogs, having so much fun. And I actually think that there is something to it. I think there's something to taking away something so that they're like learning that their choices in life have consequences, and they also have a negative impact on people around them as well. Like Esme's choice was negatively impacting Wyatt's experience at school, and Forrest's choice like negatively impacted like his parents' bank account. So that's just like one of the ways that and it's always push and pull, isn't it? Like you always are just sort of trying what works. Like you said, this is just a new thing that you guys have tried this week. And same with us. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to try this. And sometimes it's going to work and sometimes it's not going to work. So we're really curious, you guys, like, share with us, like, what is the flow of your family life like? Do you have a crazy busy morning in the morning? Is that when the mum rage comes out? Like, how do you discipline your kids and set boundaries? Like, we're all in this together, all learning. There's no like black or white way to do it. It is just like, it's just trial and error. It just is. And we're all doing the very best that we can.
And you saying, because somebody did ask us about discipline. So on the next Ask Us Anything, we're going to have to get to discipline because I think that's really amazing. And I sometimes feel a little like, oh, like, I don't know, like, are we doing this right? And I think it's good to like talk about what we do and what we try out, because we do try things out. And something that we did for a long time was like the thinking chair. And I was like, is the thinking chair like this silly thing, you know? And it's like this time to sit and think. It's not time out. Like, it's a time to sit and think about, okay, what did we do? It's also a time to sit and communicate with each other and go like, okay, what happened? What can we do differently? And it's like being together in it, right? It's not like go away and, you know, think about it. It's like, okay, we're still communicating while we're in thinking chair. But I will say that there was this day, because I definitely was doing like are we doing the right thing? Where I was reading this book that I love called, I think it's Ada Twist Scientist. There's like Iggy Peck Architect. And
that's right.
So
I love those.
There's this moment where her parents put her in thinking chair. And in that moment in thinking chair, she writes all this stuff on the wall. It's like when her brain starts going and she's and then it's kind of the thing that she got in trouble for. But then it was like this moment when her parents come in and they see like, wait a minute, now we're understanding like where she's coming from. And it was this moment for her to sort of have a beat to like explain everything. And it was a moment for them to like come in and go, oh, now we get it. And I was like, thinking chair, this is crazy.
I remember the Olsen thinking chair. I think we dabbled in that for a moment. Oh man. And it's always evolving.
We'll have to get to discipline on the next Ask Us Anything. So Thank you guys so much for joining us today for Ask Us Anything. Be on the lookout for when we put up the little question box, because we really want to hear from you guys. And then give us feedback. Like, tell us how you guys do it. We want this to be a connected community. We want to ride off of your guys' energy and what it is that you guys do in your family. And let's just keep this conversation going.
Yes, absolutely. All right, dazies, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify. Yeah, I didn't do that very well. All the things. Sarah does that better, guys. Yes, she does.
All the things. Oh, we love you, dazies. Bye.
Bye.